Hey guys, Nikhil here from Aquis. In this video, in this podcast, we'll be doing a deep dive into counterfeiting in the dietary supplement market. Your protein powders, your nutritional tablets, your vitamin tablets, everything you eat to help improve your life. How counterfeiters have proliferated this entire space and made it unsafe to a point where people are dying because of counterfeiters. So, Vikas, let's get into this.
Sure, Nikhil, let's get started.
So, let's set up the context first, which is dietary supplements includes a lot of different categories, and
Yes.
it's a large market. Why is it such a lucrative space for counterfeiters to get into?
So let's put things in perspective here, right? Currently, the market itself globally is around $400 billion. It's growing at an average of 7 to 10% year on year at a compounded average growth rate. Expected to grow to $650 billion by end of 2030. It's a sizable number in itself. And let's talk about developing countries, per se. Developing countries, a lot of people see, deficiencies. They have a lot of deficiency in micronutrients, macronutrients as well. So, and there is awareness now of using and consuming supplements to enhance or to improve their or to overcome their nutritional deficiencies. Talk about India itself. There's a report which says 80% of Indians seem to have some kind of macronutritional deficiency, right? And the urbanization of India, more people moving to urban cities, getting exposed to the fact that about nutritional deficiencies, being made aware of that, right, is also driving a lot of this. And people are, wanting to be healthy. It's way past the stage where people would just survive on food and hope that everything will be fine. No, people are now very keen to take matter in their own hands. Want to ensure that they're healthy, they eat healthy, and wherever there is a deficiency, they don't hesitate to move towards supplements. 10, 20 years back, people would hesitate to do that, but now that's not the case. So you see supplements across all kind of sectors for different reasons, for different purposes. And now, if you were to go on Instagram, I'm sure you would come across at least one ad on supplements, right? We've seen multiple companies advertising. You probably would have a company talking about ensuring your gut health is healthy. There'll be people who would talk about ensuring you get melatonin so that you're able to sleep well.
Right.
Then you have a lot of Ayurvedic supplements as well in country like India, and I'm sure in other countries will have the respective traditional medicine being marketed as supplements as well. And you see a lot of these awareness now. People are willing to try. People are wanting to live healthier, live longer as well. There are some supplements who talk about improving your life expectancies.
Right.
So people don't hesitate to try. People want to live better. And I think that's driving the market. And we are seeing that in numbers. We're seeing that India itself and other developing countries, the market is growing quite rapidly in double-digit numbers. So I think given the fact that there is a lucrative market, there are some brands who are doing really well, that's when counterfeiters obviously want to take advantage of that. The fact that the market is doing well, there are some brands who are doing really well, and people are not yet aware of the ill effects or the bad effects of fake products, right? And given that is happening, it's basically ensuring or giving impetus to the counterfeiters to actually do that. And if we talk about dietary health supplements, in a country like India and in various other countries, it's not regulated. I mean, it's unregulated. I think in India, it comes under FSSAI, which basically regulates food. I think if you talk, dietary supplements in itself needs a separate body to regulate and understand the ill effects of counterfeiting, understand not just the ill effects, but also the effects of, what are the various supplements, because there's nobody regulating it. People just pop pills or pop tablets or pop powders whenever they wish to. And no study is basically being made, or nowhere nobody's been asked to ensure that, that powder or the pill, whatever, we are popping in is actually healthy, is not harming us, right? So I think a mix of not being regulated, mix of high growth is making it very lucrative for counterfeiters.
So you set up the context. It's a high growth market, and a lot of investment coming from a private company side, but also a lot of impetus for a counterfeiter to actually try and fake it and sell, right? So compared to say an electronics market like a laptop or a smartphone, or I don't know, something more like even pharmaceuticals, which require specialized ingredients to make medicines, this space, the dietary supplement space, seems to be getting counterfeited a lot more.
It does.
You can, and for anyone out there, we'll share some screenshots, but you can find dozens and dozens of news reports like this, which commonly come up, wherein big factories of fake protein powder and then fake health drinks and fake vitamins getting busted. Why this space is getting so much more attention from these counterfeiters?
So, like you rightly said, right, the amount of counterfeiting happening in this space is quite huge. There's some reports which quote it to be as high as 70%, right, which is a huge number.
Yeah.
But coming to your question, why is it so easy for, why are these products getting counterfeited so much, right? It's because of a primary reason that, one, there's no way for me to detect what I'm eating or consuming is a fake product. Because I can as well just grind rice and sell it as a protein powder to you, and you would not even know about it, right? Or I could just I could mix soy and gluten and then sell it to you as a protein powder, right? And you would not know about it. So it's very easy to make. The cost of making a counterfeit product is very low, and the margins are quite high. So when that happens, obviously it becomes lucrative, plus also quite easy for a counterfeiter to counterfeit these products, because what I just need to do is create a similar packaging, get something which may be edible, sometimes may not even be edible. Just make a powder out of it or a pill out of it and try and market it as a supplement. And as a consumer, I may not be even aware of what I'm consuming, right? There are cases of, in the US specifically, we talk about, there were two companies who actually came out and opened up about counterfeiting of their own products, right? And I think we can share those news articles. There's a company called Now Foods, and there was a company called Fungi Perfecti, right? Which came out saying that their products are being counterfeited on Amazon. And, they were quite vocal about it as well. Plus, what was found that in these supplements, what was actually present was rice powder or gluten and soy mix. And other aspect of this is some people are allergic to gluten and soy. So when that happens, imagine, you are consuming something assuming that there are no allergens inside the product, because the original product would not have that, right? An original product would be very considerate about that. But here you just mix two things and trying to sell it as a fake product. And, it's obviously going to cause a lot of health issues to people who are consuming it. So the short answer is margins are quite high and cost to make a counterfeit is very low.
And I would also guess, the awareness amongst customers of what is, because they're trying out dietary supplements for the first time. I'm sure a lot of people, at least in developing countries, are trying. Me personally, I've never had whey protein my entire life. I just started having it like 3-4 months back because my doctor said, "Ki boss, you have severe protein deficiency."
Okay.
And I tasted it for the first time now, and I wasn't sure if it's good or bad.
Yeah. So for somebody who's never seen an original product, right? I mean, you would not even know what you're consuming.
Yeah.
So in this specific case that I just mentioned, people were actually able to understand that what they are consuming had a different taste, a different smell, and it was the consumers of Now Foods who actually reported to Now Foods saying, looks like, this is something tricky happening, or something wrong,
right.
And that's how Now Foods was able to identify that these are counterfeit products. So, like you rightly said, if I've never consumed a protein powder, I've never consumed a pill for my gut and all this, then I would never really know what an original product was, right? So, given that, for developing countries like, India, Mexico, all these countries, it becomes even more important to be very, vigilant about this and very prudent about this, the fact that what you might be consuming could be a fake product. And if it's a well-known brand specifically, I think you need to be really aware of the fact that you need to be really concerned about that as well. If the brand in itself is not doing much about it.
So let's talk a little bit about the brands. Uh, Protein supplements and all these things, dietary supplements, they're unregulated.
Yeah.
So a lot of the responsibility falls on the brand to ensure that the consumers are consuming the correct product. So what do you think a brand is supposed to do, or how do they empower the customers to actually fight this?
Yeah. So, like I always say, whenever I do, do go to any conferences where I'm invited as a panelist, etc. Two things: awareness. You need to create awareness among the consumers that there is a good chunk of fakes out there. You need to be aware of that, and then people can innovate around how consumers verify it. I've seen examples of what Muzzle Blaze has done. For example, they kind of introduced, I think, a protein check or instrument or something like that, which consumers could then use to verify whether what the protein or the way they are purchased is actually a whey protein or not, right? So I think that helps, using technology, using instruments of verification, which enables consumer to do that. And you can also use technologies wherein consumers can verify the product in itself, through the packaging, through smart packaging, smart technology as well. So there are various things which brands will have to do. One, like I said, awareness. Second is providing consumers a way to verify what they're actually consuming is a genuine product or not. Or, it could just be, letting them verify if it's made of the right composition, etc., whether it's healthy for them or not. So smaller things like this, I think, go a lot in helping them ensure that consumers don't consume counterfeit product. And there are benefits out of this, right? You're not just ensuring that your consumers are getting healthy dose of what they really need to get, but also we've seen in the specific case which I just mentioned, Muzzle Blaze, right? They were able to see a difference of 10% in their sales after they introduced the device, wherein consumers could check the whey protein that was being consumed, right? So the test kits just brought in a jump of 10% in the sales. I think so. Brands need to understand that preventing counterfeiting is not just helping the consumers, but also improving their sales,
Your bottom
revenue, bottom line, your brand value as well. So I think that's very important for a brand.
So let's talk about this a little bit more. A lot of dietary supplements, at least as a normal urban consumer myself, I've ended up purchasing online. So what do you think brands should do when they're tackling this online? And what do you think brands should do when they're tackling this offline? Because supply chains are completely different.
Yeah.
So how do you think they should go about?
So there's one word which has been commonly used across all marketing. One of the buzzwords is omni-channel. So most brands have an omni-channel strategy about how they sell online, how they sell offline as well. Part of the supply chain would be common. Then after that, it's separates out where for offline, it could go to retail stores. But for online, it's just sold on these marketplaces. In offline, of course, if you have your own retail branded store, you can still ensure that what is going to that branded store is still yours. You can still ensure and have some control. But if you have retailers who are not within your own supply chain or within your own network, and if you have third-party retailers, then obviously there's a good likelihood that fake products are being sold. Or if you don't exclusively sell within your own network, then obviously if your product is sold across various retailers, then a consumer may not know if that retailer is selling genuine products or not, right? Plus, it's the same thing with marketplaces. People can easily come up with listings saying I sell so and so branded protein powder or a supplement, and as a consumer, I may not even know if this is a genuine listing or not. So two different problems. So in case of offline, it's very important that since there's physical products already there, and as a consumer can experience the physical product before buying it, you allow consumers to basically verify before the purchase itself happens that what they're buying is a genuine product. So, and that can work in the case of offline, but online I cannot do that. Online, I order, make the payment, sometimes get a COD, and then get the product in hand. So only when I get the product in hand, I can do what I did for offline. But online, what a brand needs to do is ensure that these fake listings, fake websites, which come up over the night, and on social media, you might see a lot of people trying to sell fake products. We come up with fake handles. You might be surprised. We've seen fake handles of even banks. So it's easy for
Yeah.
people to even set up fake handles for a protein supplement company or a dietary supplement company. So trying to market themselves or trying to mask themselves as the actual protein supplier or the dietary supplement manufacturer, right? So in that case, it's important that brands cut down on all these mischief mongers who are trying to basically make a buck out of the name. Ensure that these fake listings, fake products, fake websites are brought down, and they don't even let them get to the consumer. They don't even take the money, because these websites or these people may just take the money and not even send the actual product, which still means that it's the brand's image which is getting tarnished. Or sometimes even when they send the product and when I consume the product and it doesn't work for me, I'm still worried, and I'm still thinking that it's a brand, the product which did not work for me, right? Not knowing it was a fake product. So one, for offline, ensure that physical product is protected. For online, you ensure that you prevent the sale itself from happening. And of course, if the sale happens, you can still do the same strategy which you did for offline to ensure that when the product goes in the hands of the consumer, they
can
can
still
verify it. So, and you need to tie in awareness to this. You have to run a little bit of consumer awareness, making the consumer aware that you're doing this, so that they can they would know what to do when they receive the product.
So, guys, essentially what Vikas has just described is different strategies if you're a brand owner looking to protect yourself, and if you're a consumer as well. Different strategies to protect products, to protect the integrity of the supply chain. Now,
Right.
if I were to ask you this before I go to the next question, online I understood, right? We see how you can monitor social channels, websites, which in itself is a task. But then offline, how do I, even before counterfeit products come to the retailer, is there a way of cleaning up my supply chain to ensure that at that stage itself it's protected? Maybe for instance, the dealer or a distributor itself is pushing.
Yeah, that
And
happens a lot.
so you've told this to me before, that we've found in most of brands cases, in especially this industry, the distributor and the dealer itself is
Yeah.
pushing fake products. So how do you ensure, if the retailer doesn't want to cheat the customer, for example, right? Like as a brand, how do you empower that?
It's difficult, right? If these people are not in your network, you don't have control over them, it's not going to be an easy task to do, right? I mean, the way to do it would be then to ensure that your people are out there in the market and are able to collect data and send it back to you, so that you can verify it. And then there are tools available to do that, wherein they can on ground visualize and understand and analyze the product that they're looking at and verify if it's a genuine product or not. So which means still that you need to have feet on the ground, right? And this is in case when you don't have control over the network. You don't have control over the supply chain in itself, right? Where the product is getting sold. But if you do have control over the supply chain, then it's easier to do it, right? Then you need to ensure that you're able to trace the product in the supply chain. You have a based out mechanism, well designed mechanism, ensuring that a product will only move from so and so place to so and so place. So now when a particular unit receives a product, they can verify and ensure that they only got the product from the rightful entity which was supposed to send it to you. So what we call that in simple terms is a track and trace system, right? So if you build a track and trace system, you can ensure that there is no misses which happen in the supply chain. There's no introduction of products which are outside of the supply chain into the network. And this track and trace system has to work along with anti-counterfeiting system, right? So that you prevent fake products also from coming in, right? So mix of that, but that's in case you have a good control over the supply chain. If you don't, I think then you need to have mechanisms where you have feet on the ground, where people are, anyways, when your salespeople are moving around, or you could work with third parties who could then collect data and then provide them the technology to be able to analyze and understand right there on the ground that the product they're looking at is not yours. Even though it says it's yours, it's actually a fake product.
So guys, the offline part you understood. Now the online part, the problem which Vikas just described, right? Tracking social handles, tracking websites, tracking e-commerce websites to ensure that fake listings haven't come up. Online and offline, this was essentially the problem statement which we at Aquis started working on,
Yeah,
right? And this is how you built out multiple products.
Right.
So shameless plug here. But can you just talk about some of these products and how, based on this problem statement, you developed them and architected them?
See, the problem statement is just one single problem statement, right? Ensuring trust in the supply chain. So whenever there is an introduction of a fake product or an introduction of a product which is of a substandard quality, the trust gets lost. And when I say it's trust in the supply chain, I mean an end-to-end trust, right? Right from the manufacturing to the consumer. So all the products that we have is built around this aspect. So we have some products which work at the beginning of the supply chain, which could be at the manufacturing level, which we call it as origin. And then we have some products which work at the consumer level, which the consumer can verify, which is called certify. And then you have products on top of it to basically enhance the consumer experience, which we do. And you also have a track and trace system, which we call origin track and trace. So you have origin at the manufacturing, origin track and trace. What we're also able to do is go as far back as possible, right? You could also go back to the manufacturing of the powder itself. You can also go back to in terms of the ingredients which come into your product, right? You can even trace it back all the way to there and get to know the complete journey and provenance, right from the beginning. So those are the products that we build, all with the assumption or all with the understanding that they are solving one single key problem, which is supply chain trustability. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. Let's continue to the next part. You focused a lot about awareness and education of the customer. What else can the brand do to ensure that once they do this, they actually start detecting fakes and consumers actually, use the product or use the mechanism, whatever they've built, even if it's our own product from Aquis?
Yeah. So, I mean, we've seen one thing, obviously not 100% of your users are going to use that mechanism. But what we've seen is even if, let's say 10% of your consumers are using the mechanism, we've seen great results, right? Even with that smaller number, we are able to understand and defeat counterfeiting, because what you've done now is two things. One, you made the consumer aware, which means the consumer is now looking for something on the product or in the packaging to be able to verify. Secondly, you made the counterfeiter also aware that, hey, we are doing something about it. So the counterfeiter now realizes that this is not viable, financially viable for them to make a fake product. Even if only 10% of verification is still happening, that's enough to curb counterfeiting, is what we've seen from our experience, right? So you got in the initial 10% who would have, wanted to verify, because people know that if they are consuming a product which is not healthy for themselves, they are very worried about it. I mean, we've seen a good percentage of verifications happening in products which are actually not even consumed, right? And if a product which is consumed, the verifications are much higher. But even having said that, you can always improve the verifications that are happening by using simple mechanisms like, rewarding the consumer for every verification. We have a product called Bonus, which does specifically that. So Bonus helps you reward your consumers who are verifying the product. So not just get to know it's genuine, but also receive a reward for that, which can later be consumed or later be converted to cash or a cashback or something like that. But we have seen the verifications increase quite a lot when you introduce something like this. So by itself, the fact that a product is consumed, there's going to be enough number of verifications happening. But if you want to still go ahead and ensure that the people are verifying, people are looking at the mechanisms that you've brought in, then you have tools like Bonus which can actually help you do that.
So, because of course at Aquis you have done these implementations for a lot of supplement companies, people who consume. I'm talking specifically about supplements, and I'm worried about it because people consume it.
Yeah.
Khā rahe ho directly. So you've worked with companies like this, right? Can you share some data, statistics for the entire supply chain, how it has helped solve some of the issues?
So I would like to tell about one specific use case that we tried addressing. It's a consumable product again, and it's a supplement. Before we were able to, before they got in touch with us, they were seeing a lot of counterfeiting happening. Right? Like I said, it's easy to counterfeit. Just mix up a few powders and it looks exactly the same and as the genuine product. And this was being sold to the existing network itself, right? I mean, existing network of your retail stores which were carrying this product. And in fact, when you went to buy that product, they would, shamelessly ask you, do you want the genuine one or the fake one, right? I don't know why they did that, but, they used to ask that. So, having said that, it was, rampant. It was easy for, people to fake the product, counterfeit the product. And they didn't have the numbers, but they did know that a lot of counterfeiting is happening. And they only found out about the numbers when they started using our product. So once they used our product, within a year, they were able to see improvement in sales by 60%. 60%, which is quite considerable. That the fact that they've already doing quite well, and the fact that they didn't do much in any of the other, they didn't change any of the marketing strategies or branding strategy or distribution strategy. Right, nothing changed. So which kind of hinted at the fact that the 60% of the products were actually being counterfeited and sold in the market. And they were able to remove that from the shelves. They were able to remove that, and they were able to put a fear in the mind of the counterfeiters. And more importantly, consumers now were able to differentiate between a fake product and a genuine product. So now, because again it was being consumed, consumers ensure that they were only asking and buying and verifying that the product they were being sold was a genuine product. Yeah.
So this is very interesting. Normally, there's a perception of the Indian consumer कि भाई बस सस्ता चाहिए, want everything cheap, and what you're saying is counterintuitive in the sense.
But I mean, look at it this way. I don't think. Yeah, in some cases it's being undervalued and undersold, underpriced.
But in this supplement space,
most of these cases, it's probably the same MRP that it carries, right?
Right.
So you're not even saving over there. But yeah, in some cases it may be underpriced. So, but I think in supplements case, it's probably the same MRP. There are more margins to be made for the retailer who's knowingly selling a fake product. There are more margins obviously being for the counterfeiter itself. But I think for the consumer, it's
pretty much the same. And like the fact, so 60% jump. I mean, guys, you can reach out to us. Our details are in the description below. Vikas will be more than happy to actually show you this case study live. Of course, we can't talk about the brand right here. There's NDAs protecting it. But just to give you some perspective, 60% bump in sales. Any marketing team or sales team will tell you that it's impossible after you reach certain level to get such a big jump.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And the fact that we see this across industries, it just tells us the rampantness and the scale of the problem of counterfeiting, right? I mean, a lot of times people ignore it. For example, Aman Gupta, founder of Board, who would initially boast about the fact that his product is getting counterfeited, and kind of tells them that now we are here because people are duplicating us, replicating us. But I think over a period, it becomes a problem. It becomes a snake which you cannot control, right? It becomes a fire which you cannot control anymore. So I think even though it may seem like it might appear like you're being flattered over there, but it's not the case. You need to be really cognizant of the fact that if your product is getting counterfeited, it's going to come back and bite you really hard and really bad. So you need to take precautions and ensure that you're, fighting counterfeiting from day one and not waiting for yourself to be flattered and feel nice about it, and then later on find that this is something which is actually hurting you really bad, and then doing something about it.
So guys, just for all the brand heads, marketing heads and CEOs out there, just some important numbers which counterfeiting, you have to look at it as a problem to solve, because number one, it's hitting your bottom line, it's hitting your turnovers, it is compromising the integrity of your supply chain. Because if one product has got counterfeited, it won't take much time for someone else to replicate your entire supply chain. And more importantly, your net promoter scores are getting affected, which is very, very hard to build in a country like India. So, like across these deliverables, bottom line, net promoter score, it is a lose. And we've done enough videos. You can check out our YouTube channel. We've spoken about how it's a net lose and only gain for one person.
Yeah. So absolutely.
So this is the current scenario, current problems, current solutions, some examples. Can you tell me a little bit about what the future holds for brands, for consumers, and for Aquis as well?
So as a market in itself, I think it's a highly rapidly growing market, especially in developing countries. Even in developed countries, still people do consume a lot of supplements. So even there, it's growing at a decent rate. So the fact that the market is growing, there's enough money to be made here. And the fact that there's enough money and there's a growing market, the counterfeiters are also going to try and make quick buck out of this. So as a brand, we need to be really concerned about that. We need to ensure that counterfeiting is not happening. So it's important that brands bring in methods, innovation, to allow users to verify their products, user to verify that what they are consuming in your name is actually a genuine product. So bring in technology, bring in methods, or bring in ways for your consumers to do that. I think that's a way to go forward. Be cognizant of the fact that counterfeiting is happening, will happen. And if you are a growing brand, you need to ensure that you have brand protection as a strategy along with your brand promotion as well. So you need to be aware of that. You need to bring in brand protection in your strategy as well, and not just try and grow your market without having brand protection in your mind. And with Aquis, I think we are working with innovative solutions like non-replicable labels. Our track and trace systems are evolving every day. We are focusing and building a lot, spending a lot on R&D as well. We're coming up with new methods in which consumer can verify. We are doing it for both offline and online. So there's a lot of work happening in this space, both at Aquis and outside Aquis as well. And given that counterfeiting is not going to go away easily, I think we need to be, as consumers, as brands, as everybody in the ecosystem, we need to be concerned. At the same time, we need to be vigilant and ensure that we go back to technology, we go back to our basics, and have brand protection always as one of the P's. People talk about 4 P's in your marketing. And it's time to introduce a 5th P, which is brand protection.
Thank you all so much. If you have any questions about counterfeiting in the supplement space, let us know in the comment section below. If you as a consumer has experienced supplement counterfeiting, please write to us. We would love to have a recording with you and share your story with the rest of the world. And if you're a brand, do reach out to us. I'm sure we can have a conversation and understand how we can protect your brand better. See you all in our next video.